Hey guys, so one of the things that I really wanted to do in 2015 was get back into reading. I used to be a huge reader. I actually used to work at a bookstore. I worked at Borders bookstore for a few years, and so I really do enjoy reading. But what I've noticed is if you get away from it, it's really hard to get back into it. You almost have to start a new book as soon as you finish the one that you had been reading. What works for me is if I finish a book, I have to have something already picked out, and then the very next day I have to get started on it, because say it's just like with exercising. If you're into exercising and then you miss a day in your routine, it makes it even harder to get back into it the next day. And if something happens, if you get sick or injured or something, and then you can't exercise for a week or 2 weeks or something, sometimes you never go back to your normal routine. Well, it's the same way with reading. If you don't stick with it every single day and make time to do it, you get away from it, and the next thing you know, you haven't read a book in months. So I really wanted to get back into reading this year, and I thought that the easiest way to do that would be to read something that was, a fairly easy read and nothing too complex or heavy or difficult. Because I have two bookcases in my living room. I have one bookcase that has books on it that I have read during the course of my life that I enjoyed so much that I couldn't bear to part with them. Because normally what I would do when I read a book is when I would finish with it, I would either donate it to the library or give it to someone else that I think would enjoy reading it, or if I really, really loved it, I would keep it. So I have one bookcase for books that I've read, but I have another bookcase that is full of books that I have not read yet. I mean, it would take me probably the rest of my life to read all those books. Actually, let's be honest, I'm old. So even if I started now, I wouldn't be able to read all those books, even if I read every single day. But anyways, I have found that if I get a new book, that it really gets me excited about reading it. So that's what I did. I went to Barnes & Noble the other day, and I bought a couple of new books because they're part of a series. And when I finish the series, then I'll start in on the books that I have already purchased that are on my bookcase of books to read. So what did I purchase? I bought two books, and in each book there are five books within a book, and it's just all like a condensed package together. So there are 14, no, wait a minute now. The first book has 5 novels in it, and then the second book has novels 6 through 10. So that would only be 4 books. And then I know there are 4 books beyond that I'll need to either purchase or take out from the library or something, but they're not going to be easy to find because they're not as well known. But anyway, what the series is I'm kind of dragging my feet here because I want to say, but I don't want to say. The series is The Wizard of Oz. Okay, a lot of you probably are familiar with the movie and have seen it. I think just about everybody has seen The Wizard of Oz. But did you know that it was a 14-book series? Because I was always under the impression that it was a book, and I didn't know it was this giant series. But the man who wrote the books, L. Frank Baum, is it pronounced Baum for all you people out there who know about these things? It would be either Baum or Bohm. It's B-A-U-M. Well, anyways, he wrote a ton of books, and yeah, there were 14 books in the series, and then some woman took over after he died and she continued the series. But I'm not really interested in reading those because to me that would be somebody else's vision. So yeah, I would rather just stick to the books that he wrote. So I found these books in the bargain section at Barnes & Noble, and I've already gotten started on the first book, and there's what it looks like. So this is the first 5 books in the series, and these were $7.98 each. So $7.98 for 5 novels within one book, pretty good deal. And it's illustrated too, a little bit. And the illustrations are really great. I think, I'm not positive, but I think these illustrations were done by the person who illustrated the original books that were published back in the day, because the first Wizard of Oz book was published in 1900. I was a little concerned that the language might be too archaic to really enjoy reading it, but it's not at all. I mean, the way he speaks, the way he wrote this is quite similar to the way we speak today. So thank goodness it isn't loaded with, you know, traditional jargon from that time period. It's pretty clear cut. There were a few words here and there that we don't really use much anymore, but I knew what they were, and I knew what they meant, but they just have gone out of fashion. So I've gotten started on this, and some things have been going on in my life that have made it more difficult to read, because I'm actually waiting right now for the phone to ring, because there's a part that went on my furnace. Well, it's in the process of going. It's close to being dead. How the furnace hasn't kept on working for the last 24 hours, I don't know, but I don't expect it to kick on for very much longer, because there's a piece that's not working right. So the furnace repairman was here yesterday, and he said he was going to try to find a part today and then come back and put it in, but if he can't get the part and he has to order it, I might have to either call somebody else, or I don't know. We're supposed to get a snowstorm on Saturday. We're supposed to get 8 inches of snow. So I would really like to get this fixed as soon as possible, because if I went out and bought a bunch of space heaters, I don't think that would really do the job to keep the house at a temperature where the pipes wouldn't all freeze. So hopefully, anyways, he's gonna call me and let me know how he made out trying to get the part. So if the phone rings, that's why. In case the phone rings and then I have trouble editing that part out. So anyways, yeah, I've gotten started on this series, and so far I'm really enjoying it, and I took a leap of faith by buying the other book too, novels 6 through 10, and I like this cover even better. So they didn't have a part 3 or the last 4 books in the series, so like I said, if I still am really enjoying it by the time I finish the second book, I'm gonna have to, I think I'll probably look at the library, because I don't think I would probably read this whole thing again. I mean, I'm really enjoying it, but I just don't think I would read it again. I would rather move on and read some of the books that I haven't read yet. Another thing I want to talk about is magazines. I love magazines, and I used to subscribe to pretty much all of them, but I thought that was a bit ridiculous and excessive, so I let all my subscriptions lapse except for my 2 favorites. So currently I am only subscribed to Allure, which I think is the best magazine to be subscribed to for makeup information. They always have really good articles or photographs or information or something. They always have some makeup information, whereas if you buy something else, you can go through the whole magazine and not find anything about makeup. So I feel like Allure is the best for that, so I subscribe to that. And then the other one that I subscribe to is People Style Watch. They also have makeup information, but not as much and not consistently, but I really do like this one too. And then once in a while I pick up one of those like weekly magazines that are loaded with celebrity gossip and things like that, because sometimes there'll be makeup information in those as well. And what I do to try to keep the expense down, because magazines can get expensive. So what I do is, my mom also subscribes to a couple magazines and picks up the weekly magazines. And what we do is, when we're finished reading the things that we purchased ourselves, then we just swap and give what we have to the other person. That cuts the expense in half. Although the magazines she subscribes to, I'm not really wild about them, but I'll browse through them because sometimes they do have some good stuff in there, but her taste and mine are a little different. For example, with the weekly magazines, this week I picked up Us Weekly because it had Kylie Jenner on the cover, and I was hoping that they were going to have something in there about her makeup and products that she uses. I mean, everybody knows what products she uses on her lips, but I was hoping that they might have just some additional information, but it wasn't. It was mostly just, you know, gossip about her and her life. But I mean, look at the difference, the before and after, of how she has transformed over the last year or so. I mean, she's gone from, she's grown up in 1 year, basically. She's 17 years old now, but yeah, she looks totally different now. And she keeps saying that she hasn't had plastic surgery or injections, but I don't know. I know you can overdraw your lip line and increase the size of your lips and everything by using a lip pencil and all that, but this is such an extreme change that I really don't think you would be able to make your lips that much bigger just by using a lip pencil and lipstick. But she claims she hasn't gotten any injections. And then this is an example of the type of weekly magazine that my mom buys. This is Life and Style, which sometimes they have makeup information. This one didn't happen to have anything. Oh yeah, it did. That's right. It did have one page in it. But anyways, anything that has British royalty stuff. My mom is obsessed with the royal family. I don't know why. Maybe because her roots are British. My mom is like 3/4 English and 1/4 French or something like that. And so she's obsessed with the royal family. So anything that has to do with Kate and the prince and the queen and any of that stuff, she loves it. So she had picked up this and finished reading it and gave it to me. But yeah, you can really, if you know somebody, if you have a friend or a family member that loves magazines, you know, talk to them and say, hey, you know, what if you got these ones and I got those, and then we switched, because like I said, it can really add up. Subscriptions, you do save a lot of money subscribing to magazines, but if you just buy them individually at the store, it can really add up. So that's what I'm reading right now. I'm reading Allure People Style Watch, an occasional weekly magazine, and the Wizard of Oz series. So I had read the Harry Potter series and the Lord of the Rings, and I've read things before that were considered like children's books, but I was pretty surprised when I started reading the first book in the Wizard of Oz series, because I thought I had read the first one. I didn't know, like I said, there was more than one, but I thought I had read it already, and as soon as I started getting into it, I could tell that I hadn't. But it's really good. It's different than the movie, but most of the time I feel like the books are always better than the movie, and in this case, so far, I am really, really enjoying the book, the series. So let me know if any of you have ever read this series, but don't give me any spoilers. And let me know just in general, do you like to read books? And I want to, it's going to take me a long time to get through these two big, huge books, especially with all the craziness that's going on in my life. But if you like to read books, let me know, and I might, when I finish these, do another video about what I'm reading. And it won't always be children's books, don't worry about that. I like to read a variety of things. But yeah, let me know if you would be interested in seeing another video about books and reading, and I'll see you next time. Fingers crossed that the furnace repairman calls very soon with good news. Bye.